Hey guys, thank you for joining me for this video. Today we're going to be talking about, going the distance as a couple and overcoming the obstacles, staying together as a team, working things out. And, we talked about in some of our other videos about the importance of sharing interests with one another. And the information today is coming from this magazine article. It inspired me to do some thinking. It's about marriage and the science of marriage. It's based on some studies that were done with couples. And one of the things that's brought up in this subject is in this magazine is the issue of soulmates. And I know this is really popular. It's something that is kind of Hallmark Channel-ish, and it appeals to our loving nature. That what a nice thing to say that my wife is my soulmate. And you hear a lot of couples saying that. But here's kind of the question: is there such thing as a soulmate? And I think this article had an interesting way of saying it, so I want to read it and then we can talk about it for a second. It says, another helpful adjustment for couples to stick it out and to make it the long haul is to drop the idea of finding a soulmate. Now I know that some people, they got that, that very strong romantic view, that longing in their heart that they're going to find, just there's this one person out there that, and I think from a Christian perspective, I think in the providence, this is how I would say it, in the providence of God, He knows who you're going to marry, and He already has it all wrapped up and figured out and known. You don't know yet, and so you're searching. You're looking to find that person, but God already knows who that person is. But I think that's different. That theological concept of the providence of God, that He already has it all understood in His foreknowledge, is different than what I think most people think about when they talk about soulmate. They're thinking that somewhere on the other side of probably the street, I don't know why it can't be on the other side of the planet, because it's probably not realistic to think you'll find them, but on the other side of the country, this person's born that is the person that you're supposed to be with. And if you could just find that person, then you're just going to have this, fantastic, and I mean like fantastic type of relationship. And what this does, though, and it's a beautiful thing. Okay, it's a very, some might say it's sappy, but, it's a nice thought. And I think it's when couples say that my wife is my soulmate or my husband, I think they're just kind of using like a term of endearment. But the problem with it is, or the danger with it is what if you marry this person and then you find out, like every couple does, that you guys argue and that you have differences of opinion, and she likes red and you like blue, and she likes hamburgers and you like fried chicken. Well, then do you say, well, I guess I didn't find my soulmate because she roots for the Gators and I root for the Seminoles, so this can't possibly be my soulmate. This is the inherent danger with that kind of thinking. Is if for some reason we fuss and fight and argue, or we go through a dry spell, or we go through a season of angst with one another, whatever, then maybe, I didn't choose the right person. So that means what? My soulmate is still out there. So why am I sticking it out with this person when my soulmate's out there? I need to go back out and look again to see if I can find my soulmate. And so there's the danger with this kind of thinking. And I think it's good that, here you got an article, in a secular magazine saying we need to drop this idea. It's killing marriages. We have this mythological idea that we will find our soulmate, and then all of these euphoric feelings will follow. It says, in fact, soulmates tend to be crafted and not found. Now that's something to think about. Now I like that. I can get behind that. Is that, if you want a soulmate, then you've got to work for that. That, you see, here's the bottom line. Once you cross that altar and you say out loud that I do, this is the person I choose, that's your soulmate. Okay? That's it. You've said it out loud. You've declared it. All right? You've made a covenant that this is the person. And now, I think it's more like a process of let's learn what it means to become each other's soulmate. So think of it like the difference between driving a car buying a car, and learning how to drive. There you go. The soulmate idea is like, if I could just find the right car, then, I'd be happy. Well, it's the problem is every car breaks down. Eventually, cars have to be maintained. And even when they're maintained, eventually they end up on the scrap heap, right? And so that's what happens to many of these marriages is they approach finding a husband or finding a wife like finding the right car. If I just found the right car, then, life would be so much better. But what happens? You marry this person and it requires maintenance and it breaks down and you have to service it and there's all this attention, right? And so eventually, maybe you get to a point where you think this is more trouble than it's worth. I'm going to get rid of this car and I'm going to get a new car. And that's what's going on right now in today's marriages. But I think marriage, the better idea, the better metaphor is learning how to drive. When you learn how to drive, it doesn't matter what car you drive because it's a skill, it's an ability, it's a discipline. You have to learn the right way and avoid the wrong ways, and then you could apply that skill to any car that is available. And any car that you purchase, then you could apply the skill of driving if you know how to do it. And so marriage is something I think we learn. Marriage is something that we develop. Being good at marriage is not something that just happens. It's something that we're working at. It's something that we're learning by watching examples, positive and negative, and we're learning by trial and error, and we're learning by going to resources and manuals, not the least of which, is this manual right here. Is going to the manual and saying, all right, how do I do this? What's the best way? What do I need to avoid? What are the pitfalls? What are the dangers? And then sometimes just knowing that you're going to wreck. It happens to every teenager. I know my daughters, have had car accidents. I had car accidents when I was a kid. Sometimes it happens even as adults. As you learn and figure out what it is you're doing, there's going to be accidents. There's going to be times when, you get crumpled fenders or worse. And that's part of the skill of learning how to drive is knowing that, accidents are going to be a part of it. And part of the skill of learning to be married is knowing that sometimes there's going to be conflicts, there's going to be disagreements, there's going to be disappointments, and that I don't need to just trade in the car, and well, maybe there's something wrong with the car. It's just a part of it. It's a part of the marriage life. So it's something that we're working at. It's something that we're developing, and I think I'm much more comfortable with the idea of learning to be my wife's soulmate rather than, she found me out of the blue, and I believe in the providence of God. I'm good with that. But I think it's much healthier if we think of soulmates in the terms of we're learning to be each other's soulmate. We're learning to do that. And what is it going to take? Practice, practice, practice. Lots of practice. And forgiveness. And long suffering. And I mean, this is all the stuff that's in the Bible. 1 Corinthians 13. Love is patient, love is kind, love is gentle, keeps no records of wrong, bears with each other. I mean, it's all those things that sometimes don't come very naturally to us, especially in this consumer-oriented culture. So I think this is really helpful, learning to adjust to each other and to be friends and to be companions and to walk life's journey together is something that we're learning as we go. So it's not just you got to pick the right person, but it's about learning to become the person she needs me to be, and her learning to become what I need, and walking together as companions, putting up with each other's differences, and appreciating each other's strengths, and then supporting each other to be the best that we could be, better than we could be separate, So thank you guys for watching this video. I hope it encourages you. Like, comment, and subscribe. Share it with somebody that you think might benefit from it. As always, be present to life. Don't be so enamored with what could be that you miss what is right in front of you. Or don't be so stuck in the past at what people ought to have done that you can't appreciate what's coming in the future. And don't be so tied to the future that you miss what's right in front of you today. You know, in reality, all we can live is the present. So if we're stuck in the past, stuck in the future, stuck somewhere else, dreaming of something else somewhere else, where are we not? We're not in the present, but that's where everything's happening. So be present to life. All right, guys, thank you and blessings.